Welcome to another episode of CrossTalk. My name is Kevin Tocci, and I will be your host for the next 30 minutes. Now, as you know, this program, what we try to do is talk about things that are going on in the communities of Whitman and Hanson, or maybe something that's fantastic going on in the South Shore. Maybe it's an event, maybe it's a political election, maybe it's just an election, or it's someone like Plymouth County Sheriff Joe McDonald, who does so much for this county, sir. Welcome to CrossTalk.
Kevin, thank you.
This, of course, is not your first time here. We've had you here for many different conversations, and this is just basically a way to catch up on some of the things that you're doing and things that are going on at the Sheriff's Department, or talk about the farm or the jail. What's going on down at the Sheriff's Department?
Well, thank you, Kevin, for inviting me to come on the show. I appreciate that. You know, when I say to people all the time, when I meet them in the community, that if I'm doing my job correctly, you don't hear very much about what's going on down at the Sheriff's Department. So to be able to come onto a show like this and tell people, I think it's a really great thing. The good news, everything is safe and secure at the County Correctional Facility. Things are quiet right now. We're seeing our populations on the decline somewhat, which might be surprising. We've seen a decline in sentence population. We have seen a precipitous decline in federal populations. And a slight increase in our pretrial population. So from a high several years ago of about 1,600 inmates, between 15 and 1,600 inmates, we're somewhere in the vicinity of about 1,300 inmates now, 1,350.
What would you attribute this to? Is it a matter of that we're seeing less crime, or that maybe because we have a dwindling population in the state? No, what could it be?
No, it's a number of things, but I think the most significant factor is a precipitous decline in federal populations. That would be U.S. Marshals and Immigration and Custom to be the biggest part of that. But we've seen a lot of, I think a lot of good things too, as far as our anti-crime programs that are working out there. And I'm hoping, we're just starting to get into some of the data on these things, but some of our rehabilitative programs at not just our correctional facility, and this isn't just with us. These are trends that I'm talking about that are actually statewide. So I'd like to think that some of our rehabilitative programs are having some good effects as well.
Let's talk about some of your positive programs. I know you formerly had a program called Are You OK? It's been renamed. It's called Safety Assurance. Tell folks what that program is.
Thank you, Kevin, for asking about that. That's a very important program and a very great program. It's been under the name of Are You OK? For over 20 years now. It was started, I believe, under Sheriff Foreman back in the middle 90s. And what it is, it's a free service that's offered to people within Plymouth County, anybody within Plymouth County, who is in a situation such that they would benefit from having a call to check in on them every day at a predetermined time between 6:30 a.m. and noon, to make sure that everything is okay and that people don't need assistance. And it can be elderly people could use that, people with medical conditions could use that, anybody who has a concern such that they really need to be checked upon on a daily basis, and it's totally free.
Special equipment that you need?
No special equipment. A telephone is really all you need. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. Part of the reason that we've changed the name is because we've changed the equipment, and there's some copyright issues that were involved here. As time goes by, and it's over 20 years that we've had the system, it's an automated system. We've upgraded the hardware and the software, but at the heart of this system are our communications officer, and in particular, Officer Roy Zettelmoyer, who is the voice and the personification of this program. It is all monitored, totally monitored by Officer Zettelmoyer. This is his project. And really how it works, individuals that want to sign up predetermine a time, and an automated phone call is made to those individuals. When they answer the phone, there'll be a menu of things, I'm fine, I need assistance, those types of things. And that could trigger, if they answer they're fine, that's the end of that. But if there's a situation where someone indicates that they need assistance or they don't answer, what we do is we have a specific set of instructions that are provided by the client, by the person themselves, who would make a determination. And it's not always to alert the authorities. Usually it's to let a relative know or a neighbor know, so they can just go over, knock on the door, make sure everything's okay. And usually someone's out playing golf or somebody's gone on vacation and forgot to tell us. those are great things to have. But occasionally you do have a situation where someone has been in need of assistance, and this has really been a lifesaver.
This type of a program, is this something that I can stop for short term and then reactivate?
Absolutely, yeah. You can opt in, opt out at your election. Some people feel, like say you were rehabilitating from an injury or something and you needed somebody to check in on you. This program could be useful during that period of your recovery and recuperation. And when you didn't need it anymore, you cancel it out. And you mentioned before, all you need is a telephone, and it does not have to be a landline, as long as we have the cell number to reach you at. And if you're in the program for a long-term period of time, if you're going on vacation, you just let us know, and we will suspend the service for that period of time. And it allows you to maintain control of the independence in your life, but also gives a lot of peace of mind to your relatives that are the ones who are most concerned that you're going to be okay.
Is not answering the phone or the call the only way for someone to indicate that they have an emergency?
No, not at all. When the telephone, when the automated call comes in, there's a menu, and depending on which, if you can press a button to indicate that you do have a situation.
Okay.
And in that situation, and we've had this happen, we would send the appropriate response, whether it's medical, police, or both. And that, it's really been, I brought some stats for the first quarter. And I think it's important for people to know about this program, because one of the things that I find as I talk to folks is a lot of people, even though we've had this program for 20 years, didn't really know about it, and the fact that it's free.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is 365 days a year?
Every day, yep.
And who are the folks can somebody who is outside of the county use it, or strictly inside?
Well, our program is strictly for inside Plymouth County,
Okay.
but other counties have very similar programs.
Okay.
They may be still utilizing the old Are You OK equipment, and that stuff still does work. But I think pretty much every county has a similar program. So if people are seeing this and make a note of that, they could call their local sheriff's office, or even if they called us, told us where they lived, we could connect them with their local sheriff's office to get that program in place for them.
And I would think that where this is a free program, there's no need for a contract.
No contracts of any kind. Just tell us you want to do it, and we'll sign you up. And the great thing also, and I know I mentioned it already, but just to reiterate, it's not as though when you sign up for this program, if you don't answer the phone, we scramble the Air Force to check on you.
Right.
It's our response is determined by you. So you will have told us that you want us to call Mr. Smith, who lives next door to you,
right.
or to call your Uncle Bob, who will, and 99 times out of 100, thank God, Uncle Bob will be able to tell us that, oh yeah, Kevin is, he's golfing in Bermuda, and everything's great.
It's a good place for him.
Yeah, and exactly, it's a wonderful way to do it, but it does allow you to maintain an independent lifestyle, and gives you complete control, and allows the people that love you, that are concerned about your safety, that look, I got this under control.
And can this be used in conjunction with other medical, alert devices?
Absolutely, yeah. This is something that does not interfere or trump any other systems that people might have, whether they're home alarms or the necklace or bracelet type ones. Like you say, it only enhances those.
Okay. How does one get involved? What do they have to do? They have to fill out an application, go online, call? What are they going to do?
Well, I think the best thing to do now, we're working in that direction. I believe that those items are up on our website, that you can do that. But probably the best thing to do in the short run is to call the sheriff's office at 508-830-6200 and ask for the communications department. That's who you're connected to, and tell them that you want to get involved with the call assurance program. And they will connect you to Officer Zettelmoyer or one of his assistants, and they can take care of everything right over the phone.
Is there a targeted time that you find a lot of these when folks do use this program, that they target their phone call? Is there kind of a window?
It varies depending on the individual. I find that a lot of, like say with the senior citizens, a lot of them like early calls.
Right.
Because I think a lot of our seniors are very early risers.
Yep.
They've got a busy day ahead, and they want to bang this out, and I suppose it could be utilized in some instances as a wake-up call.
Anything else that we want to note that maybe I haven't asked you that's important to letting folks know about this particular program?
Well, just some stats that I had, from the first
Please.
quarter of 2014, we had brought them. We had a total of 12,412 calls that were placed, and of those, 147 alerts were registered. On 15 occasions, the police were called to assist, and twice, people were transported to the hospital.
Oh.
And, when you think about it, that's, over 12,500 or almost 12,500 calls, but only 2 times were people needing hospitalization. But those are 2 instances, and I don't know the particulars necessarily, but those are 2 possible saves. And if we save a single person, if it takes us 12,000 calls to save somebody, I don't think that that's too large an inconvenience. And that's another thing I think that we want people to realize and to understand, is that you're not inconveniencing us in any way. This is a largely automated program. The people that work on this program are communications officers who are staffing a communications center that does a lot of things anyway, which would be the subject of a whole separate show. But they're really dedicated to this and know that this is a great program, and it really gives them a tremendous amount of personal and professional satisfaction to know that that they're helping people.
What kind of feedback do you get from some of the community council on agings, and do you hear from them in regards to this program too?
We do, yeah, and I thank the councils on aging, local councils on aging, because they're one of our greatest helpers to get the word out about this program. It's I think a lot more people would utilize this program, and I thank you for this as well, because this gets the word out there that the program is up and it's running and it's free and it's good, and these types of things will encourage people to contemplate or at least think about getting involved in this. But the feedback that I'm getting has been overwhelmingly positive. It's funny because a lot of the folks that are utilizing it will tell you that, look, I don't do this for myself, but it makes my children feel better. It makes, and that's a great reason to do it. Even if you feel that, you're not at a juncture or a point in your life that you need this, think of the peace of mind for free that you're giving to your loved ones. So I think that's a great and a healthy way to look at this. A lot of seniors know that, I'm not necessarily doing it for myself, but for my family.
Okay. Let's talk about another little system that the Sheriff's Department is a part of, and that is the CodeRED community notification.
Yes, indeed.
Talk to me about that, because I'm a member of that, and I think it's a fantastic tool when it comes to knowing what's going on with certain things.
Yeah, the CodeRED program is also it's an upgrade within the last several years to a program that had existed before. And the best way for me to describe it, the easiest way to understand it, is it's the reverse 911 that people have heard tell of, and maybe even received some of the calls. But it's a great system. We were able to upgrade that system 2 or 3 years ago by means of a Homeland Security grant. Homeland Security money paid for this, and it's available to all of our communities, and it is used on a very regular basis. And it's one of those things. We limit it to public safety issues and law enforcement type stuff. You're not going to hear about the local PTA bake sale through this. That's not an appropriate
Sheriff, really?
Well, some of the towns have their own, but what this is for is when you have a situation where there is a violent fugitive on the loose, or a lot of towns have utilized it to indicate road restrictions for like a 4th of July holiday, what roads are blocked off for a parade or something like that. And it's really nice because people then say, aha, so I'll alter my plans for the next day just to work around this, or road construction. We've had situations where this has actually solved crimes. There was a situation about 1.5 years ago. It was a hit and run homicide. It was actually in Bristol County, but we were able to put the call out there, and somebody who received the call called in and was able to identify the driver of a vehicle that had struck somebody. I believe it was in the town of Fairhaven. It was a fatal accident, and they had fled the scene, and we were able to catch them by means of that. So this is a system, it's a great convenience to us as a community, but you can see that sometimes these things go beyond what we think about and solve crimes.
I actually want to kind of add to your add a story or two, if I may. I'm not sure if it was earlier this year. It might have been earlier this year. There was a situation that your CodeRED was used where there was an unattended backpack at the public library here in Whitman, and it was sent out, And because of the code red, because people were like, oh my God, they closed down the library, they brought in the state police bomb squad and their little robot, police fire were there, and they were being very safe. You never know if it's unattended in today's day and age. And the kid found out because of the code red that he had realized that his backpack was there and came back down, and everything was kind of averted. That was one.
Wow.
The other way is in this area, the big thing we deal with when it comes to summertime is West Nile virus, Eastern equine encephalitis.
Yep.
Whenever there's an alert, whenever a trapped mosquito has a positive reading, I believe that Frank Lynham, the town administrator, has a couple of times sent out a notification through Code Red to let folks know this is what's going on and this is what you need to do to protect yourself.
Right. Yeah, public safety and public health are used. And now that you bring this up, I'm glad you've jarred something in my mind. Those telephone calls through the Code Red are made geographically, and we have an overlay map. And when we're contacted by a town, they tell us, we want you to notify this particular section of town, and we're able to highlight that on the overlay map, and those calls are made automatically. However, if somebody, and I know this happens more and more now, people don't have landlines, they've got cell phones. Right. And if that cell phone is unknown to us, and most cell phones are, unless people sign up, they're not going to receive that call. And by the same token, you don't necessarily want to be receiving telephone calls in Whitman or in Hanson that have to do with stuff going on in Marion or Mattapoisett. So let us know. This is a system also. Sign up for this. Tell us where you're located so that we can add you to that map. And then when that overlay call goes out, you'll get it on your cell phone. Or even if you just want to get it on your cell phone in addition to the landline, it's not a bad idea.
And this is a system that's kind of is shared with another county too, right?
That's another great point. We actually share this system with Bristol County. There was some difficulties, I understand, getting the system up and running in Bristol County. So what we were able to do, simply by enlarging our software to include those municipalities in Bristol County, we were able to do, through our office in Plymouth County, we do all the notifications in Bristol as well, which is, and we found this out kind of the hard way. There was a situation where a young lady down in Bristol County went missing, and they didn't have the system, so we pressed ours into service. We were able to get that alert out there and realize, hey, really, we ought to be doing it for both. So we were. But if I could make one other comment, I'm intrigued by the library story. I had not heard that one. It's an interesting one. Did the young man come down and get his backpack?
He did, and actually, I will also admit that it was something that we were able to use. I don't know if we had mentioned that it was a code red, but we did mention that it was a reverse 9-1 type of a situation. That he came down. I took the pictures when the kid showed up. I was, Mr. Media guy on the scene. And
wow. Well, the old excuse that, my dog ate my homework. This kid would have a great one. The state police bomb squad blew up my homework.
Right. That would be that would be an interesting one, an interesting note to have to bring into the teacher if in fact that was the case. But it was a thing that was, folks were safe, and you know what, the police chief and the fire chief acted accordingly, where you have an unknown entity that was there, and using that reverse, the code red was a fantastic idea because it got quick results.
Yeah, the police chiefs and the fire chiefs are all very supportive of this and know that this system is available to them anytime that they need it.
How does one sign up for it? And should people encourage others to get involved with it?
I think so, yeah. This is a situation where if you have a listed phone number, we've got you in there anyway. But if you don't, or you want to get those alerts on your cell phone as well, again, 508-830-6200, and let the communications officer who answers the phone tell them that you want to get involved or get a number signed up for Code Red, and they will direct your call to the appropriate person, and we'll get you signed up.
Okay. Let's quickly talk about another thing that I know that yourself, I think that District Attorney Tim Cruz has been a part of, and that is just putting the boxes in the police stations to collect unwanted medicine, or make sure that the medicine doesn't fall into the wrong hands. With today's drug epidemic, seeing all the people who get hooked on the drugs, this is a fantastic thing, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. This is a system, the MedReturn boxes that are located in virtually all of our local police department lobbies now, was something that I first saw when I was off at the IACP, which is the International Association of Chiefs of Police. They had an exhibit hall where many of these programs are advertised and demonstrated. And when I saw that, I thought that was a great idea. And I took that idea, with me. Now, a lot of Plymouth County police chiefs go to those conventions, and we all travel together, which is great fun. But we all talk about the things that we see out there, which I think also is very good for us professionally and us as a county. And when we came back, and actually District Attorney Cruz came with us last October to the IACP. It was down in Philadelphia. And we're always looking for new programs and things that we can bring back.
Right.
We saw it out there, and we were able, with help from the district attorney and our local police chiefs, and also the Massachusetts Department of Public Health and Covanta Energy, to get those boxes. Now, the DA's office helped us fund these things. We've got them in all of our communities, and it's so important now because of this opiate epidemic that's going on out there that people be conscious, more so now than ever before, of the medicines that are just sitting in their medicine cabinet. And maybe they had some dental work done and they got some opiates, pain relievers. They never used them. They left them in there.
Sit there.
And they do. They just sit there. And, young children find these things, and sometimes older children find these things. And, this is, it's a very dangerous thing to have in a house. And all you need to do now is to put them in a bag, drive to your local police department. In the lobby, you will find this medication return box. Put it into the box, and no questions are asked. It's dealt with. And the way that it's dealt with is the police departments will see that is transported down to Covanta Energy, where they have the big incinerators, and the medications are incinerated, and we produce energy as a result of that. So,
and this is also instead of waiting for the National Drug Take Back Day.
Right.
So waiting for that one day, you can go down anytime you want.
Right, you can do it anytime. And that's a great point, too, because a lot of people didn't necessarily want to wait for that drug take-back day, and they would flush them down the toilet, which leads to whole other environmental problems. So this is a great, safe way to deal with these things. And, I'll just share one quick anecdote with you as well. My in-laws had some work done at their house recently, and one of the workmen asked to use the bathroom, and my father-in-law thought nothing of it, and the gentleman went in. And after they had left, they did fine work at the house, and they left. My father-in-law went back, and he's one of those guys who knows where everything is in the house and how it is arranged. And he determined that someone they didn't take anything because there were no narcotics there, but someone had rifled through their medicine cabinet, and he was shocked by this. And
Wow.
I said, don't be shocked. This is the new reality, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah, this is today's day and age. You're absolutely correct.
Yes.
And instead of waiting, it's great. It's funny how times have changed. You talk about not flushing medications down the toilet because that's going to have some kind of an adverse effect to our water system. You look at how folks would think that it's the bad person who, the kid who is who grew up on the wrong side of the street who
Right.
gets into trouble, when it could be an athlete who gets addicted to drugs just
Right.
because of an injury he suffered or she suffered.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of that these days. People who are legitimately prescribed very strong painkillers, which lead to addiction, or individuals who have these things, never took them, realize that their buddy suffered an injury of some. Hey, try this.
Right.
And it really, unless it's prescribed by a doctor, absolutely not. If you're not going to use it, get rid of it before somebody else does. Or if somebody, misuses it by taking too many of them, and then, you feel terrible when these things happen.
Let's talk about one last thing. We got about less than 5 minutes left, and you have a fantastic course for women, a self-defense course. We're going to kind of tease it here, but I think eventually we're going to try to see if we can get our cameras down there and do a program at the advice of Karen Berry and John Burtwell. They kind of said, hey, maybe this might be something that you do a show on, and we're going to consider it. So tease this self-defense
Absolutely,
course.
yeah. It's called the FAST program, and it's two of our corrections officers. Actually, they started their careers as corrections officers, so they've got a background in law enforcement, but they are also mixed martial arts guys who have a great affinity and a love of teaching that want to do this program and direct it at really women of all ages, because you're seeing a lot of stories in the news, again, I don't know what the cause of this is, but you're seeing that women of all ages are being assaulted and attacked on college campuses, in quiet towns, and we're really not immune to that. But these guys have developed a great program. And again, it's not to train these individuals to be mixed martial artists or to be to be fighters or anything like that. What it does is it trains them to be aware of their surroundings, what distractions exist, and how to get themselves out. So the idea here is to buy time to get out of the situation and to allow help to come in. And it's a great program. It's a whole show. And I think if you come down, we'll dress up in the padded suits and we'll get beaten up and it'll be fun.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. That's definitely worth a videotape. Maybe have a couple of my colleagues kind of get involved with that.
Yeah, I think that would be great. But it's Dwayne Forts and John Saris from my staff, two great guys. And I mention their names only because some of the people in your viewing audience may have done the program because they've been doing it for a while now.
Right.
And two very, very gifted martial artists, but also talented teachers and instructors as well. They really care about what they do.
We got maybe like a minute and a half left. If folks want to find out some of the things that the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department is doing, or anything that we've kind of discussed here today, how can they find out more information?
Well, I think probably the best source of information for us is going to be our website, www.pcsdma.org. And what that is the initials, Plymouth County Sheriff's Department, MA for Massachusetts, so pcsdma.org. And now there'll be headings there that people can click on and see things about the FAST program or the call assurance or the CodeRED, all these things that we've talked about and many, many others, the county farm, what's going on at the county farm. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder because that was kind of my little, maybe we could find a way to lure you back in this fall to talk about the farm because the farm does fantastic things.
Yeah, we're the last county farm in Massachusetts, and I'm very proud of what it's become. When I became a sheriff, the farm was slated for closure and development, and I'm proud to tell you that I was able to stop that, and I was able to, with the help of a lot of different people in the legislature and locally at the county level, get that under a conservation restriction. But the gifted employees over there have turned the county farm into so much more than I had ever anticipated. I wanted it as an inmate program, a rehabilitative program, but my employees there, they're so dedicated to what they do. They've made this into a tourist attraction, and people who are coming to the Plymouth area really ought to stop by and see the farm. I think they would be very pleasantly surprised.
All right. Well, we'll end on that note.
Great.
Sheriff, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of CrossTalk. Have a great day.